Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. We're talking another Star Trek video here, and this one is a bit sad. We're talking Star Trek Bridge Crew, which is a game I love. I play it on PSVR. It was one of the earliest PSVR titles that came out. I remember, I think in the first year maybe, I saw trailers for it where they had, LeVar Burton and the lady who plays 7 of 9, all the crew, Carl Urban, they were all putting on headsets at E3, I think it was, and trying out Bridge Crew. And I remember thinking to myself, that's got to be the dumbest idea I've ever heard of. You're sitting there, I mean, if you're the captain, you got to get your party to actually behave. That ain't going to work. And if you're engineering or something, what are you doing? You're playing Tetris to rebalance the warp core? What? That's just dumb. It's not going to work. It's a stupid idea for a game. But it actually ended up being one of my favorite VR games of all time. I still play it to this day. It came out with DLC many years ago for Star Trek The Next Generation. So if you're a Next Gen fan, there's something in it for you there. It launched with the J.J. Abrams, what do they call it? The Calvin line version of a ship. It's not the Enterprise, it's the Aegis, but it's a ship from J.J. Abrams' era. And the original Enterprise as well. Going to talk about that in a second. The recreation of the original Enterprise is fantastic. But the game at large, I became a believer. I was just like, oh my God, this is, I'm going to go on record right now, this is the best Star Trek game ever made. Better than the Sega one for the arcades, better than Elite Forces, which is like a first-person shooter set in the Voyager era, which is good, but it seems out of place for Star Trek. Starfleet Academy I played, that was really good too. But Star Trek Bridge Crew is so perfect. It is the perfect Star Trek game. Go into it briefly. You take one of 4 positions. You're either the captain, sitting there giving your commands, execute, or you can be helm, which is actually, there's no point in me recommending it, but if you were to play it, start with a helm, because that you can kind of learn how to line up the ship, go into warp, fly around. Then you've got tactical, who fires the torpedoes, does the scanning, all that kind of stuff. And engineering, which is the most boring of the bunch, but it's still useful. It's a handy position to have. And if you're in the captain's chair, you're commanding these 3 people, do this, do that, we're going to go over there, we're going to attack those guys. No, leave them alone, let's scan this, that kind of thing. The recreation, the feeling of being in command of a starship is the most virtual I have ever had. And I don't mean VR headset stuff. I'm not talking, graphics and how much you can lean your head around. A complaint many have had, and it's valid, is you can't get up out of your chair and walk around the ship. That's too bad. But the feeling, though, of being in command of a Starfleet vessel is unreal. It is so good. I love this game, and I play it almost every single time I go into PSVR, which is regularly, multiple times a week. You can check it my way. I find it's a really good winding down. If I've had an extreme session of Alvo or Swordsman or whatever, I find I kind of need a little palate cleanser. Let's just unwind, let's sit back, let's relax. Star Trek Bridge Crew is perfect. It's seated, so it's very calm. You're commanding the crew. I like playing with the AI. I'll talk about online in a second, but I enjoy playing with AI. Unfortunately, you have to kind of command them and hope that they get what you're doing, but the AI is pretty decent. And it's maybe 10, 15 minutes tops. You can get these really great sessions. No 2 missions are alike. That's what's really cool. You can do the same Fight the Klingons level, but it plays out very differently every single time. You might warp into a system right next to a mine, suddenly now you're damaged, and here comes the Klingons, you got to deal with them. Or there might be a huge number of Klingons, and you've just managed to wipe them all out, and then a big cruiser arrives, and you're like, well, we're dead. And I have died multiple times. It's never the same game twice. It's got that kind of, I don't know, recreate, that feeling of no 2 games are like playing, I don't know, Civilization, for example. You are doing the same thing every time, but it's got radically different results every time. Love it. Now, About 2 or 3 years ago, the developers who work with, I think it's Red Spawn or Red Dawn, Red something. They work with Ubisoft. Ubisoft is still doing well. I don't know that Red Dawn, Red Spawn, whatever. I don't know if they're still around. Because a few years ago, they patched Star Trek Bridge Crew for everybody, all headset owners, so that now Quest players could join in. Yay, we got more players. That's awesome. But something happened on the way to the Enterprise. The next-gen ship became broken, where if the if the hull dropped below about 40% full capacity, there's a bit where the lights change, and now you're in like the evening lighting where it's like blue and stuff like that. Something happened. The entire bridge went snow white. And it was like, what the heck happened? I thought it was just a PSVR thing. No. We joined up with people on Oculus. They had it too. And I was like, oh my God. Okay, well, no problem. They'll patch it. It's obviously change a 14 into a 16 or something like that in your code. Whatever. It's not a big deal. Very playable, but it just, now everything's white. It took 9 months for them to fix that. Like, there were forum posts like, you gonna fix this? Here's all the evidence. Here's what you need. They kept saying, oh, we're working on it. We're aware of it. Are you sure? Can you uninstall, reinstall? All that kind of stuff. 9 months went by. And in fact, I even made a complaint on Reddit about it. I was just like, yeah, I think it was about, developers who don't support their titles anymore. And I said, yeah, talk about Bridge Crew then. Those guys have left the Enterprise D with a white bridge for 9 months now. And weirdly, I got a reply from somebody saying, what do you mean? What are the details? And I pointed to various forum threads. Look at all these things. And when you reach 40% hull, you got this white bridge. Weirdly, not long later, they patched it and it was fixed. I'm like, was that me? I don't know. I'm not sure, but hey, whatever. It's working. That's the important thing, because I love this game. But I am noticing that, about a month or two later, maybe 4 months later after that patch, something happened. There was no updates for Bridge Crew, nothing like that. It was strictly, I was playing once, and I went in to do a solo match, because I have joined online, and some of the crowd is really cool. They're really smooth. Hey man, you're new to it. Won't worry about it. We'll try this. Hey, you take helm. It's a good starting position. A lot of people are really good. The community has dried up. I mean, it's many years now, and a lot of people are playing other stuff. I totally get that. I understand that. Any game that's sort of a multiplayer focus, it's gonna dry up, and the crowd won't be there anymore. And I usually play solo for that reason, on my own. I can jump from spot to spot. I can actually, you're not always stuck at the captain's chair. If you want, you can take over. Like, for example, you can be the helmsman, which on the original Enterprise is incredible. The way they've made the controls, they must have watched George Takei doing his thing on the set and tried to replicate it, what it looks like. That's really cool. And you can even jump over to the tactical and you can fire the torpedoes and fire phasers and, change whatever the next target is when you're looking down on that big radar. Oh, man, it's so good. And, also engineering is very fun too. You can hop into each of these spots as a single player campaign. But if you're playing multiplayer, and what happened is a few months after that white bridge got fixed, suddenly you couldn't even join a single player game. You couldn't launch the game at all. You would be in the opening bit where it's like, okay, I want to play a single player. I want to play multiplayer. Nothing. It would just sit there. You would click on it. And nothing would happen. And I was like, oh God, what have they done now? What's broken this time? Couple weeks, I think, 3 weeks later, magically fixed. I was like, okay, good, but why did that take that long? $5 says they're probably looking at it like, okay, does anybody even play this anymore? If we were to unplug the server that these all connect to, is there going to be any kind of a complaint? I guess it was enough because I was able to join on with other players. Some of them were kind of a little tipsy, had a little too much of the old Romulan ale, I would suspect. So that wasn't really much fun. But hey, single player's back, and I can continue to play my game. Yes! However, then it really implied to me there's like no support for this title. Like whoever at Ubisoft or Red Dawn, Red Spawn, they're probably like, they've most likely forgotten, if they're even in business, they've probably forgotten about supporting this thing since it has taken that long to patch, that long to put the plug back into the server. Why is any of this sad, you ask? In the last month or so, Star Trek Bridge Crew has been delisted on PlayStation and Oculus, and I think the Quest marketplace. You can't get it now. I can still play it. I've been able to hop online. I haven't tried multiplayer, should I? Just to see. But I'm sure the writing is on the wall. The clock is ticking, and soon that game is going to go away. And that is extremely sad to me because as a Star Trek fan, I love sitting on the bridge, giving my commands to my crew, pressing the buttons. Things actually happen. It's so good. It's the best Star Trek game ever made. And it's going away. I have no question about it, no doubt. I will be very sad when that happens. I don't even know what I'm going to do. Like, I guess, because I play on PlayStation VR, it's not like I can sideload into my headset a way to play a hacked version of the game where I can still play it. I'm hoping and praying, whoever it is who patches this game, please, I hope you're going to do one final patch where it no longer has to check in with that server and you can play single player forever. Because I love it that much. I really, really hope that's what happens. If not, I don't know. I might get myself, I don't know, like a quest and find a way to play a hacked version ROM or something because I want to keep playing it. It's a great game. I can't if they pull the plug on it. And with PlayStation VR, I mean, the really good thing about Sony is it's all on the level. There's no hacking. There's no modding. So that's good. It protects you from people being able to cheat their way through multiplayer games and stuff like that. But that's bad if the developer goes away and decides to pull the plug on support and I can't even launch the game anymore, which has happened with other PSVR titles, by the way. So, pour one out for Star Trek Bridge Crew. I hope it's around for a bit longer. It is, / was, the best Star Trek game ever made. I don't know if you're big into VR games, but that one was perhaps the best ever for anybody who's a Star Trek fan. You can be on the Enterprise, even on the Next Gen ship. You can encounter Romulans and Klingons and do all kinds of great stuff, and I'm really going to miss it if it goes away. But I guess it's out of my hands at this point, so on that note, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.